This is the Bank Nifty daily charts. As you can see, a red candle formed, downward potential trends happening. Markets come to its closer to the 20-day moving average. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually starts happening over here. But first, let's take you to the 15-minute chart and see what happened today. So yesterday the market closed at 37,743 and today it opened up slightly down at 37,677. About a 100-point drop in the morning. Um, Yesterday the straddle closed around 1008. This is again trading for the 7th October and not for today's weekly and monthly expiry. And today the straddle opened up a little higher, maybe around 1080, 90 or so. Um, so in the first candle itself, this support zone that we created yesterday was taken out. And what ended up happening is straight after that, this big candle came in. So we thought maybe there will be a potential bounce back. But we wanted to see and wait till what happened around the high of yesterday, which was around 37,900 odd levels, right? So that's the kind of levels that we were paying attention to see what will happen. Nothing really happened, gaps were covered, so we waited and watched. Option chain around 10:15 or so, right around this time here. um, Calls were written at 38,000 and 37,800. Market was around 37,800 at this time, and puts were written at a solid 37,500, both open interest and the change in open interest. Then around 11 o'clock or so, which is here, straddle prices started decreasing. So decay started kicking in. What started around almost 1100 odd points had come down to 970. So a considerable amount of decay had kicked in by this point. By 2 p.m., the straddle had, which is around here, had come down to 916. So and eventually the straddle closed 909. Today was an exceptional day in terms of decay. There was a lot of decay that was received um, over the last few days. IVs during the days were going up. No decay was coming during the day. And today in one shot, we got a lot of decay. So overall, we ended the week and month in profit. But this is kind of how the day went, right? We option chain then around 2 p.m. or so, right? So around this time, markets say around 37,500. Calls again written at 38,000 and 37,800, and puts written at 37,500. And then as it broke this zone, eventually the calls kept moving forward again, 38,000 and 37,600. Puts had moved to 37,500 and 37,400. There was a lot of support around 37,500 levels. Eventually around this point, 315 odd candle, 320 odd, when this zone was taken out, we didn't want to be in a position for the market to test this. We had made enough profit that we said, okay, we can call it quits and be flexible for tomorrow. Now, coming to tomorrow, this is what I feel can happen. So, coming to daily charts, overall, the market seems downward trending, right? It's come close to its 20-day moving average, which is an interesting zone to be in, potential support. Um, but this is how I would trade for tomorrow. So one of the things that is important is this 37,300 odd levels, right? The market moved, opened up, gap up. It's about 50% of this large candle. You can see massive jump up. It's come to test it, and the minute it tested it, immediately bounced up. Again it came to test it, again it went up, and today it's finally come back down again. So now if it breaks, right, one turn, twice it's coming, potentially can test it again tomorrow as well. And if it actually breaks it, then since this was a gap up, there is no support here, and the market essentially, if it breaks 37,300, can come straight to 37 odd thousand levels, which is this candle and closing this gap. So that's one of the reasons why we close. So that's a sign that we're sort of a support zone, that we're a little um, careful about, or rather keeping a close eye on. Let's see what the market does. Another sort of support, if resistance rather, would be this. So yesterday's high of 37,800 odd levels, I would switch to today's high, which the high of today was 37,878. So around 37,900 odd levels, I think might be interesting to kind of act as a support, sort of resistance. Another weak resistance, I don't see it being too strong, is this big candle here. um, I think this is around 37,600 odd levels. I think this might be an interesting sort of resistance, not a very strong one, but nevertheless a resistance in which we can see what will happen to the market. We may have a, actually we do have a resistance zone here. So we would have a zone between 37,600 and 37,650. Yeah, I think that would be an interesting zone to see what will happen around here. So if the market opens up flat, goes up here to test this, let's see what happens around here. If it actually breaks it, can go up here, but if it comes down, breaks this, then we have a potentially free fall. The reasons why I think the market is also weak is because if I draw a trend line here from the high connected to the high of today here, and I'll just stretch it, you can see that the markets are looking weak. It's tried to make sort of a move upwards, but unable to break what would be potentially trend line ways. So this level is kind of critical. I think 37,800 levels, if it breaks up, we might see an upward movement, but we've already got a resistance around 37,600. So that's going to be critical. My concern is the downward trend. If it sort of breaks 37,300, it can come down to 37,000, filling this gap up. Now overall, I think, see, S&P 500 and Dow Jones are slightly lower. They're both um, what is this, 1.3%, and this is almost 0.9% lower. So we got to wait and watch to see what impact this has. Overall, global cues are slightly weak, but Indian markets overall have been fairly strong, but I still feel that tomorrow might look slightly negative. This level around 37,300 is going to be critical for us. If it starts breaking it, we can work around. Now, since we don't have any positions, our strategy is to wait and watch for what would happen in the first 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes as well. If it breaks this, comes down here, starts taking a support, then maybe that's the time we start writing puts. Otherwise, maybe we can start off, if it starts breaking this, adding a few calls and then sort of adding positions from there. Overall, that's kind of what we want to do. Want to start the trading week and end the calendar week in building some positions, not too much for a Friday to take overnight, but let's see how the market goes eventually so that we can make some positions and end our week in profit.